Computerized system validation. Purpose of training. The purpose of CSV training is to ensure that professionals can validate computerized systems effectively while adhering to regulatory and industry standards. Purpose of this training is to ensures regulatory compliance and audit readiness, minimizes risks of data breaches, system failures, and non-compliance, builds confidence among stakeholders and regulatory bodies in system integrity, enhances productivity and quality of processes, ensures seamless implementation of computerized systems in GXP environments, enhancing employee competency. Computerized system. A computerized system consists of the hardware and software components, together with the controlled function or process, including procedures, people, and equipment and associated documentation. GXP regulated computerized system. Computerized systems that are subject to GXP regulations. The regulated company must ensure that such systems comply with the appropriate regulations. GXP regulation. The underlying international pharmaceutical requirements, such as those set forth in the US FDA and C Act, US PHS Act, FDA regulations, EU directives, UK MHRA regulations, Japanese regulations, or other applicable national legislation or regulations under which a company operates. These include but are not limited to GMP, GCP, GLP, GDP, Good Quality Practice, GQP, Good Pharmacovigilance Practice, GVP, Medical Device Regulations, Prescription Drug Marketing Act, PDMA. Process owner. This is the owner of the business process or processes being managed. The process owner is ultimately responsible for ensuring that the computerized system and its operation is in compliance and fit for intended use in accordance with applicable company standard operating procedures, SOPs. The process owner may also be the system owner. The process owner may be the de facto owner of the data residing on the system, data owner, and therefore ultimately responsible for the integrity of the data. Process owners are typically the head of the functional unit using the system. System owner. System owner. The system owner is responsible for the availability and support and maintenance of a system and for the security of the data residing on that system. The system owner is responsible for ensuring that the computerized system is supported and maintained in accordance with applicable company SOPs. The system owner also may be the process owner, that is for IT infrastructure systems or systems not directly supporting GXP. For systems supporting regulated processes and maintaining regulated data and records, the ownership of the data resides with the GXP process owner, not the system owner. What is CSV? Computerized System Validation, CSV. Computerized system validation is a documented evidence to ensure that systems operate consistently and reliably in accordance with predefined specifications and regulatory requirements. This process is crucial in maintaining the integrity, quality, and safety of pharmaceutical products. Types of validation. Prospective validation. It is an proactive approach of documentation when new system introduced. Retrospective validation. It is an approach of documentation with respect to any changes in the manufacturing process. Concurrent validation. It is an approach for validating systems equipment during active production. It ensures that systems operate as intended under real-world conditions while minimizing delays and production halts. Revalidation. It is an approach to conduct it periodically or when significant changes occur that may affect the validated state of the system. GAMP 5, Second Edition. Good automated manufacturing practices, GAMP, guidance aims to safeguard patient safety, product quality, and data integrity in the use of GXP computerized systems. It aims to achieve computerized systems that are fit for intended use and meet current regulatory requirements by building upon existing industry good practice in an efficient and effective manner. Software categorization in GAMP 5. Category 1 Infrastructure Software and Tools. Category 3 Standard System Components, non-configured. Category 4 Configured Components. Category 5 Custom Applications and Components. Note: Category 2 is no longer used. Category 1 Infrastructure Software and Tools. These are layered software upon which applications are built. Software used to manage the operating environment and infrastructure. Software, systems and tools supporting computerized system life cycle activities. Typical examples of Category 1. Operating systems. Database engines. Middleware. Programming languages. Network and performance monitoring tools. Scheduling tools. Software, systems, and tools supporting IT processes. Requirements management, test automation tools, etc. Typical approaches and considerations. Record version number, verify correct installation by following approved installation procedures. Assess and record the tool's adequacy for use. Category 3 Standard System Components, non-configured. These are layered software. Runtime parameters may be entered and stored, but the software cannot be configured to suit the business process. Typical examples of Category 3. Firmware-based applications. COTS software. Typical approaches and considerations. Requirements definition for key functionality and intended use. Life cycle approach scaled based on system complexity. Risk-based approach to supplier assessment, scaled on component categories, GXP impact, and intent to leverage supplier activities. Focus is on the supplier development life cycle as applied to the component. Record version number, verify correct installation. Risk-based testing and leveraging of supplier testing to demonstrate application works as designed in a test environment. Category 4 Configured Components. These are software, often very complex, that can be configured by the user to meet the specific needs of the user's business process via workflows, process flows. Software code is not altered. Typical examples of Category 4. LIMS. Data Acquisition Systems. SCADA. ERP. Clinical Trial Monitoring. DCS. ADR Reporting. CDS. EDMS. Building Management Systems. CRM. Spreadsheets. Simple HMI. Typical approaches and considerations. Business process map and data flow diagram. Risk-based testing to demonstrate the applied configuration delivers an application meeting the business needs and workflows. Category 5 Custom Applications and Components. These are software custom designed and coded to suit the business process. Typical examples of Category 5. Varies, but includes bespoke interfaces between systems. Internally and externally developed IT applications. Internally and externally developed process control applications. Custom ladder logic. Custom firmware. Spreadsheets, macro. Typical approaches and considerations. Same as for configurable, plus. Supplier assessment focus on the supplier's QMS for new component development. Design and source code review. Coding standard. Full life cycle information, design specifications, unit, module, integration and functional testing, etc., where relevant. Hardware categorization in GAMP 5. Category 1 Standard Hardware. Standard hardware components shall be documented including manufacturer or supplier details and version numbers. IQ shall verify installation and connection of components. The model, version number and where available, serial number of pre-assembled hardware shall be recorded. Category 2 Custom Hardware. In addition to hardware Category 1 requirements, bespoke items of hardware shall have a design specification and be subjected to acceptance testing. Assembled systems using bespoke hardware from different sources require verification confirming compatibility of interconnected hardware components. Any hardware configuration shall be defined in the design documentation and verified in the IQ. Validation Approach. Approach for Infrastructure Software and Tools, Category 1. Infrastructure software and tools as per the GAMP 5 guidelines involves focusing on appropriate control measures and risk-based decision-making, since these are not typically direct contributors to product quality but serve as foundational components for other systems. Below is a structured approach for managing Category 1 software. Evaluate risks related to system availability, reliability, and security, as these factors indirectly impact GXP processes. Category 1 software typically relies on vendor-supplied documentation, testing, and compliance certifications. Verify compliance certifications like ISO 9001 or ISO 27001. Verify the correct installation of the software in the target environment. Verifying system configuration settings. Ensuring proper integration with dependent systems. Approach for a standard system component, Category 3. Many computerized systems comprise commercially available software products running on standard hardware components. Software products that are used off the shelf, that is standard and not configurable for a specific business process, are typically classified as GAMP Category 3. This includes off-the-shelf components used for business purposes. It includes both those that cannot be configured to conform to business processes and those that offer defined ranges of factory-provided values or ranges, also called parameterization, as may be found in process control systems and simple laboratory devices. In both cases, configuration to run in the user's environment is possible and likely. In such cases, and based on satisfactory supplier and risk assessments, a simple approach consisting of one level of specification and verification is typically applicable. Approach for a configured components, Category 4. A common type of computerized system involves the configuration of commercially available software products running on standard hardware components. These may be installed on-premise by the regulated company. Commercial software products that are configured for a specific business process is typically classified as GAMP Category 4. In such cases, and based on satisfactory supplier and risk assessments, a flexible approach to specification and verification may be applied. The number of deliverables required to cover the required specification and verification of functionality delivered via configuration will depend on the size, complexity, and technical architecture of the system. Approach for a custom application, Category 5. Some computerized systems are developed to meet individual user requirements where no commercially available solution is suitable. These may be developed using a linear, waterfall approach or by using iterative and incremental, agile methods. The software developed for such systems is classified as GAMP Category 5. In complex cases, an approach consisting of various levels of specification and verification may be applied. The number of deliverables required to cover these levels will depend on the complexity and impact of the system. For example, for a small simple system, the specification and design specifications may be combined. References to documentation and deliverables should not be interpreted as always requiring traditional documents, and the maintenance of records and information in appropriate and effective software tools is encouraged. For automated process equipment, computer system specification and verification should be part of an integrated engineering approach to ensure compliance and fitness for intended use. Electronic record. Any combination of text, graphics, data, audio, pictorial, or other information representation in digital form that is created, modified, maintained, archived, retrieved, or distributed by a computer system is called electronic record. Electronic signature. A computer data compilation of any symbol or series of symbols executed, adopted, or authorized by an individual to be the legally binding equivalent of the individual's handwritten signature is called electronic signature. Open system and closed system. Evolution: an environment wherein system access is not controlled by person S responsible for the content of electronic records on the system is called open system. An environment wherein system access is controlled by person S, which are responsible for the content of electronic records on the system, is called closed system. V model. The figure shown identifies the key stages for validation. It is a recognized methodology for computer system software applications and illustrates the links between system planning, requirements and design specifications and the corresponding reviews, protocols and qualifications. It includes the design configuration, development and testing of the software and the integration and testing of the combined software and hardware. Each task, when successfully executed, will result in documented evidence, including a formal record and/or report, to support the validation program and ensure a controlled step to the next stage. V model phases are: planning, specification, configuration and coding, verification, reporting. SDLC, software development life cycle. The software development life cycle, SDLC, process follows a series of phases to complete a product. It's a critical component of software development because it ensures visibility to all stakeholders, helps to mitigate potential risks, and enables greater control over the scope of the project. SDLC phases are: concept, project, operation, retirement. Concept. Activities in this phase will depend on company approaches to initiating and justifying project commencement. Generally, these activities are outside the scope of GAMP. However, gaining management commitment to provide appropriate resources is an important pre-project activity. Project. This section describes the following project stages in more detail. In project phase, first is planning. Second is specification, configuration, design and coding. Third is verification. And fourth is reporting and release. First is planning. Planning should cover all required activities, responsibilities, procedures, and timelines. Activities should be scaled according to system impact on patient safety, product quality, and data integrity, risk assessment, system complexity and novelty, architecture and categorization of system components, outcome of supplier assessment, supplier capability. Second is specification, configuration, design and coding. The role of specifications is to enable systems to be developed, verified, and maintained. The number and level of detail of the specifications will vary depending upon the type of system and its intended use. For example, software design specifications are not expected from the regulated company for non-configured products. The requirements for configuration and coding activities depend on the type of system. Any required configuration should be performed in accordance with the controlled and repeatable process. Any required software coding should be performed in accordance with defined standards. The need for code reviews should be addressed as part of risk management. Third is verification. Verification confirms that specifications have been met. This may involve multiple stages of reviews and testing depending on the type of system, the development method applied, and its use. Testing computerized systems is a fundamental verification activity. Testing is concerned with identifying defects so that they can be corrected, as well as demonstrating that the system meets requirements. Testing often is performed at several levels depending on the risk, complexity, and novelty. One level of testing may be appropriate for simple and low-risk systems. Fourth is reporting and release. The system should be accepted for use in the operating environment and released into that environment in accordance with a controlled and documented process. Acceptance and release of the system for use in GXP-regulated activities should require the approval of the process owner, system owner, and quality unit representatives. Software Life Cycle Flow. This is the software life cycle flow diagram. Third phase of SDLC is operation. This section provides comprehensive guidance on system operation. Not all of these activities will be directly relevant to all systems. The approach and required activities should be selected and scaled according to the nature, risk, and complexity of the system in question. Last phase of SDLC is retirement. This section covers system withdrawal, system decommissioning, system disposal, and migration of required data. List of CSV deliverables, but not limited to. The list of deliverables covered under computerized system validation are mentioned in the below table and can be varied as per client's requirement or system requirements. Initial Risk Assessment, IRA, GXP Assessment, GXP. Validation Plan, VP. System Requirement Specification, SRS, User Requirement Specification, URS. Functional Specification, FS, Configuration Specification, CAs. Design Specification, DS. Functional Risk Assessment, FRA, Risk Assessment, RA. Installation Qualification, IQ. Operational Qualification, OQ. Performance Qualification, PQ. Requirement Traceability Matrix, RTM Trademark. Validation Summary Report, VSR. Addendum, AD. Supplementary Qualification. Gap Assessment Analysis, GAP. User Requirement Specification, URS. User Requirement System Determine expectations of user from the system. URS to be developed by user department in a manner to be unique, self-contained, testable, traceable, and unambiguous across the system life cycle. This document includes the requirements related to the system such as requirements related to configurations, functionalities, performance, security, authorizations, and interface, backup and restore, regulatory, electronic record and electronic signature, audit trail and reporting. GXP Assessment Initial Risk Assessment, IRA. The GXP Assessment Initial Risk Assessment will provide the system GXP criticality, electronic record applicability and system categorization as per GAMP 5. This assessment will also support the data related to operations along with CSV life cycle management towards initial implementation, maintenance and support to ensure that the validated status specific to organization business operations is achieved and maintained throughout its life cycle. Validation Plan (VP). The purpose of a validation plan is to define the activities, strategy, procedures, and responsibilities for establishing the adequacy of the computerized system. Preparation of the validation plan for GXP computerized systems, the V model to be used for the validation of the system which is adapted from GAMP 5. Functional Specification FS Functional Requirement Specification FRS. The FS/FRS document defines the functional capabilities that are required to achieve the user requirements. It describes all functional items on a detailed level. Functional specifications should be specific and unambiguous. Functional specification contains an enumerated list of functions. System Requirement Specification (SRS). System Requirement Specification (SRS) defines the system overview, brief system requirements, installation details and operational details for validation of computerized PLC SCADA, QC systems. Configuration Specification (CAS). The configuration specification will cover the configuration items, the identity and versions of the software, hardware and equipment instrument components, details of configurable settings in software but not limited. Design Specification (DS). Design specification is a description of the software components and subsystems to be provided as part of the product. Note, if there is only one software module, the design specification should contain enough information to enable the necessary code to be produced. In such situations, documents such as a module design specification, test specification and an integration test specification may not be required. Functional Risk Assessment (FRA). Functional risk assessment shall be carried out based on the user requirements of the system to evaluate impact on regulatory requirements, product quality, patient safety and critical functionalities of system. The FME tool shall be used to assess the functional risks considering the available and prepared documents, URS and FS. Each identified potential risk shall be assessed and the related risk analysis shall be conducted based on the three categories, namely severity, probability and detection, to determine the risk priority. Basis on the priority, the extent of validation shall be performed. Appropriate mitigation action shall be provided to the identified potential risk and residual risk shall be assessed to ensure that risk level has minimized after applying the controls. Identified potential risk and critical process shall be tested during the IQ and OQ testing to ensure that controls applied to mitigate the risk are sound and working properly. FRA Annexure 01 (Pre) shall be prepared before IQ and OQ execution to identify the risk. FRA Annexure 02 (Post) shall be prepared after IQ and OQ execution to provide the mitigation action. Installation Qualification. Installation qualification is a documented verification that all key aspects of software and hardware installed and configured according to standards set by the manufacturer or by approved functional specification. Test scripts related to system installation but not limited to. Verification of equipment's details. Verification of master documents verification. Verification of hardware components. Verification of software components. Verification of general system installation. Verification of power utility. Verification of environmental condition. Verification of test instruments traceability. Verification of physical and logical security control. Operational Qualification (OQ). Operational qualification ensure that the system or equipment operates as intended within its defined operating ranges, consistently producing the desired output, particularly in the pharmaceutical, biotechnology, and healthcare industries. Test scripts related to system operations, but not limited to. Verification of field instrument calibration. Verification of test user creation availability. Verification of startup and shutdown procedure of system. Verification of HMI IPC SCADA screen. Verification of PLC input and output, digital and analog. Verification of system security. Verification of user access level and rights. Verification of set parameter boundary condition. Verification of alarms and interlocks. Verification of power failure condition. Verification of communication failure condition. Verification of date and time alteration and time synchronization. Verification of standard operating procedure. Verification of sequential operation recipe creation. Verification of system-generated reports. Verification of data backup, restoration and archival, retrieval. Verification of audit trail. Verification of user deactivation removal, etc. Performance qualification, PQ, is the final stage in the validation process of equipment systems. The primary purpose of PQ is to verify and document that the system, equipment, or process consistently produces the desired results as per expected operating conditions as defined in the approved specifications. PQ is generally performed by the client. Somewhere CSV engineer do the PQ in presence of user department. Test scripts related to system performance, but not limited to. Verification of standard operating procedures. Verification of system trial run, with or without product. Verification of generated report after trial run. Verification of audit trail, etc. Requirement Traceability Matrix, RTM trademark. The Requirement Traceability Matrix, RTM, is a key document in computer system validation, CSV, that ensures traceability, compliance, and completeness across all stages of the validation process. Its primary purpose is to establish a clear mapping between user requirements, functional specifications, testing activities, and deliverables to ensure that all requirements are adequately tested and verified. Validation Summary Report, VSR. A validation summary report is a document that provides a concise summary of all the validation activities conducted for a system or equipment. In computer system validation, the VSR acts as a key deliverable that provides assurance that the computerized system is fit for its intended use and adheres to regulatory standards, such as FDA 21 CFR Part 11 or GAMP 5 guidelines. By summarizing all validation activities, results, and deviations, the validation summary report serves as a final checkpoint before the system goes live. Addendum Supplementary Qualification. An addendum is a supplementary document or addition made to an existing document, report to provide further information, clarification, or modifications. It does not replace the original document but serves to update or expand upon it. Purpose of an addendum. Supplementary information. Corrections or updates. Legal or technical adjustments. In validation activities, an addendum is often used to address post-approval updates to protocols or reports. Include supplementary qualifications or test results. Document resolution of deviations discovered during validation activities. 21 CFR Part 11 Assessment Checklist. 21 CFR Part 11 Assessment Checklist is a tool or document used to evaluate whether an electronic system complies with the requirements set forth in the 21 CFR Part 11 regulation issued by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. This regulation focuses on ensuring the integrity, security, and authenticity of electronic records and electronic signatures used in regulated industries such as pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, and medical devices. Gap Assessment Analysis. Gap assessment is a systematic process used to identify the difference or gap between the current state of a system, process, or organization and the desired or required state. It highlights areas that need improvement, corrective action, or further alignment with industry standards, regulations, or best practices. It provides organizations with a clear action plan to achieve regulatory compliance, improve efficiency, and mitigate risks effectively. The primary purpose of a gap assessment is to identify deficiencies, prioritize actions, ensure compliance, improve performance. System Release Certificate. A System Release Certificate, SRC, is a formal document issued after the successful completion of system testing, validation, and verification activities, signifying that the system is ready for deployment or operational use. It confirms that the system meets the predefined requirements, specifications, and regulatory standards and can be released into the production environment or live operations. The main purpose of the System Release Certificate is to provide formal approval, ensure compliance, confirm readiness, reduce risk, authorization for use. Precaution. Few precaution while handling CSV activities. Understand DOR's requirements before proceeding with CSV documentation. Collect proper prerequisites before starting the CSV documentation process. During execution, avoid preparing large screenshot files, as large files may become corrupt. Use a cross-functional team to review the CSV document before submitting it for approval. Always conduct a trial run of the system before proceeding with CSV documentation. Validate the system's critical parameters under the supervision of the system owner or SME. Use a spell checker and check for page breaks in the documents. Avoid using converted Word formats or templates, as they may corrupt the file or disrupt page formatting. Compile CSV documentation simultaneously to ensure no testing activities are overlooked. Thank you all ICS team to be a part of this training. Do you have any questions? Drop the mail at ravi.bhavnia@ics-india.co.in. This video tutorial is prepared for training purpose only. All rights are reserved.